This conference will now be recorded.
Hello?
Are you there, Christine?
I am finally here.
Oh, thank you. All right, Tim, you ready? It's being recorded. The time being 6:50 p.m. I'd like to call the May 26, 2020 meeting of the Tilton Planning Board to order. As chair of the Tilton Planning Board, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis, and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this committee is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there are no physical locations to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are, number one, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are using the GoToMeeting platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during the meeting through this platform. The public is encouraged to participate remotely using your smartphone, tablet, or computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join 877-309-2073. This information can also be found on our website at tiltonnewhampshire.org under meeting schedules and agendas. The public also has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting using your phone through dialing the following toll-free number: 1-877-309-2073 and access code 493-898-909, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting via our website and town kiosk located outside Town Hall, and providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting. If there are problems with access, if anybody has a problem, please call 603-286-4521 or email web@tiltonnh.org, which will be monitored during this meeting. Adjourning the meeting, if the public is unable to access the meeting, in the event you're unable to access it, we will adjourn this meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. If you are a member of the public listening in and have questions, please write down your questions, and at the end of each agenda item, I will ask if there are any questions from the public before we move on to the next agenda item. Please note that all votes that are taken during the meeting shall be done by roll call votes. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, also please state whether there's anyone in the room with you during this meeting, and that's required under the right to know law. Given the unusual circumstances, we will dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Is anyone from the public present? If you are, please identify yourself with your name and say who else is in the room.
Jeannie Forrest, I'm alone in the room.
Okay.
Roland Gamlin, alone.
Back on Zito, 3 other people.
All right.
Dennis
Well,
Gaudette, I'm alone.
okay.
Tim Pearson, I'm alone.
Stephanie Penny, I'm alone.
Is that it for the public?
John Scanlon, I am alone.
Hi, John. All right.
Hey.
Well, let's have a roll call vote of the committee. Jane Alden. I've got 2 other people in the room.
Christine Dembitsky, no one's in the room.
Todd.
Todd Odell, I'm alone.
Eric.
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay. Eric Pyra. I'm alone in the room, but I have 4 other people in the house.
okay. All right. And now, I believe they want to make a presentation. Planet Honda, is that correct?
Well,
That's
we held
correct.
the public.
Are you ready to go, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Well, Jane, do you want to review and find the plan complete before you start the
Okay,
presentation?
yeah, sure, we can do that. Has
Okay.
everybody had a chance to look at the application?
Yeah.
Okay. It appears to me to be complete. Anybody have any other comments about it?
I make a motion to bring I don't know the case, planning board case 20-02 uh, as the application appears to be substantially complete.
Is there a
I will
second?
second.
All in favor? Roll call vote. Jane Alden, yes.
Donald Go, yes.
Christine Debitz,
Eric Pyra, yes.
Okay. Now, the conditional use permit isn't required as there's no development within the groundwater protection district. And we approved the lot merger. And we had variances that came before the zoning board and they were approved. All right. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at the engineer's report and T.F. Moran's comments?
Is that what we got today?
Yes.
Yeah. Hold on. I just got to open it. Is that the one dated May 22nd?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I reviewed it at work. I just want to make sure I got the right thing.
You should have Steve Keach's report, May 22nd. You should have a response from TF Moran on those comments, and then you should have my comments on review and conditions if you approve tonight.
My feeling is all the permits, obviously, they wouldn't go and gather until they were approved by us. So looking at that, I think this is all straightforward.
I think we have a list of 9. I wanted to make 2 comments. Under snow storage, um, I'd like to see a sign put up in front of the berm, just cautioning there will be no dumping over the berm. Just an added precaution. And I'll throw this up for discussion. I'd like to see no parking on the bank of any cars.
What bank are you talking about?
Pardon?
What bank or berm are you talking about? I'm looking.
The bank that will be in front of Planet Honda. The lawn. I should say lawn.
Well, I'm looking at map C03.
Yeah.
Can you let me know where you're looking at this berm?
Oh, it's snow storage. See where the snow storage is?
I don't, but that's because there's a lot of little type in here. Are you talking about the back?
Yes.
I'd like to welcome you all to.
Well, do they have a proposal sign here? Do not put snow beyond this point.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure that that's in the conditions.
Is that what you're talking about? It's in the red?
Yes.
Okay.
It's actually on the plan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on the plan. They actually have several of those throughout the map CO3, C03.
I just saw the one. No, I see two.
Yeah, there's another one directly.
There's 3 or 4, yeah.
All right.
And then
Okay. Yeah, I see that one. I see it.
Basically, what they put those on there to prevent snow from being dumped over the retaining wall. I think that's what the chair was getting at.
Okay, we just.
yeah, and they also have it on map C04. They actually have it on their sign legend. So
And the other thing, I just want to make sure there's no parking of any vehicle on the lawn in the front. All right, has everybody had a chance to look at the conditions that Leanne noted?
well, has everyone noticed how they have eliminated access to Morrison Avenue,
Yes.
which was brought during the last zoning board meeting.
And from my understanding, and John, you can, I believe John, representing the residents, John Scanlon, has met with them, and I believe the abutters are very pleased. Is that correct, John? John, are you still on?
There I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the applicant reached out to them and discussed with the direct abutter and made appropriate changes and added some trees and the walls and additional signage for the snow plowing.
And I know during the zoning board meeting, they discussed that a lot of the trees are fairly fast growing, and it will provide a screen so that really it will probably not even be visible in a short time. Again, has everybody had a chance to look at the conditions for approval of the application? The conditional approval?
Yes.
Yes, Jane, the only one I didn't see on there was all those questions on the comments, and they wanted all those as part of the conditional approval.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe make sure that's added as like number 10, that all those items are.
I just noted that all the conditions that were highlighted by the engineer would be met.
Oh, what number?
Where's my, hold on.
Condition 4.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So they all look good to me.
Okay. And as I say, the only one I would add is not parking on the lawn.
Okay.
And Jane, you mean the lawn on the
In front, the along Route 3.
Leanne, you might want to, I'd suggest that the condition read, and it'd be fulfilled by a note on the plan that indicates vehicle display and parking all parking and vehicle display shall be on pavement.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I'm adding that as number 10 right now.
Okay.
Okay?
Uh-huh. Anyone else on the board have any comments? Anyone in the audience, in the public? I'll open it up for public comment.
This is Stephanie Penny here. Can you
Hi,
hear me?
Stephanie.
Okay. So I am the direct abutter, and first, I didn't even get notification of this meeting. I just happened to think in my head, maybe I should look at the Tuesday night and hear you all were. Second, didn't hear from anybody. Nobody reached out to us about any of the abutted properties.
You didn't what?
So if I can just speak on the abutters. So the no notices were out, Stephanie, because at the last meeting, we made a public statement that it would be continued, and that meets the requirement of doing another certified letter when we continued to this date certain at the last meeting. Okay, so that answers that one. And I don't know about the applicant reaching out to the abutters. I don't know who they spoke with.
John, can you address that? John?
Yes, I wouldn't know either. I guess we'd have to defer to the applicant.
I believe John Cronin, did you not do that?
Yes, Madam Chair, we did have some conversations with Mr. Scanlon, and another gentleman was very actively involved that we spoke to both following the ZBA sessions. We actually met him out at, out at the site, walked the land with him, and showed him some of the areas on Morrison. He was a proponent for removing that access off of Morrison and bringing it back to the main entrance. We have not spoken to this woman, Stephanie, but the gentleman that was out at the site did identify her property, and when we present the final plan, we'll show the landscaping that we placed to buffer her property.
Okay. Do you have any further comments?
Yeah, this is Dave Fontaine at 20 Morrison. The gentleman was me that he spoke to.
Mm-hmm.
I've never received anything in the mail either. I am not a direct abutter. I was most concerned about not using Morrison Avenue. I think Stephanie's concerns are different than mine, as I don't have a direct view of the property like she does. So I received nothing. In the last meeting, I also commented that I haven't received anything, and getting communication or any kind of information has been extremely difficult. It's been all on the hush-hush. The using of Morrison Avenue originally was never presented to us. We found out about it by accident, and that's why we put up such a stink. There has been no communication to people on the street. I know John gets communication because he's a selectman, but I'm in agreement with Stephanie that nobody's given us anything unless we found it ourselves. But as long as you're not using Morrison Avenue, I have very few objections. Dave Fontaine's out.
Okay, thank you, Dave. And unless you were a direct abutter, you would not have gotten notice. And as Leanne said, at the last meeting, we said that it would be continued to this meeting. So you would not have received notice.
No, I'm not complaining about it. I just am agreeing with Stephanie. Didn't get anything. From the beginning of this, we've gotten nothing.
Madam Chair, this is John Cronin. As far as the notices, we had submitted the appropriate plan and a butters list and everything else. The good news is that appearance at a meeting, either through Zoom or go to meeting or in person, as a waiver of any defects with notice. So the good news is Stephanie did do her work and is here this evening, although she probably wasn't present at the last meeting when the date was continued. And David has been, I think, involved in most of the hearings, if not all of them to date.
Thank you. I think, Dave, I think you have been too.
I've been involved, but I wasn't notified of anything. I got nothing in writing. I got no communication from anybody other than verbal communication from a neighbor.
And Dave, are you in a butter?
No, but I live on Morrison and they were using our road.
Well, I think that issue's been resolved, and you would not have been noticed if you were not in a butter. Any more comments or questions from the public? Janet, are you a direct abutter?
No.
It's so noisy. There's so much background noise I can barely hear. Hello?
Can you hear now?
I can hear, yes. I am not a direct abutter to the property. No, Dave Fontaine is not.
Okay, and Janet?
I think it was Stephanie.
Oh, Stephanie.
I'm a direct abutter, yes.
Okay. And you got no notice?
Not about this meeting, and I guess there was one last week too that I didn't attend. I don't know.
Well, what are your concerns right now? Stephanie?
I don't know where to start. I'm glad they're not using Morrison Ave. That was a huge concern for me.
And
I just feel like
resolved.
there's really not a lot of communication, like Dave said. It's just surprise.
Well, the meetings are noticed in the paper and in the kiosk in front of Town Hall. And the original meetings were properly noticed. What are your concerns at this point, Stephanie? Other than the
I don't
fact
have anything to.
Okay.
No, I don't have anything to say right now.
Okay. Are there any
Chairman?
other? Yes.
Yes, maybe possibly could just, at some time during this meeting, review the changes in the plantings over there for Stephanie and any other butters that are on, so they get an idea. Just a suggestion.
We're happy to do that, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry?
We're happy to do that. We'll review the changes to Morrison and the comprehensive landscaping that's proposed.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions from the public? I'm going to close it to the public and return to the planning board. Any more questions from the planning board before we have a presentation? All right, then please make your presentation.
Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is John Cronin, and I've been involved in this since the outset. It's my pleasure to be involved in a project of this scope and scale. With me is Hannah Giovanucci, who is on us with Zoom, Tim Ciasuli, and Bill Feinstein, who are both of the principals in Planet Honda. It's exciting for those in the Lakes region, and particularly in Tilton, that a dealership of this caliber, which is recognized nationwide, not only for their excellence in running the dealership, customer service, and for their environmental friendliness. There's a lot of competition for this particular site, and Honda Motor Corp decided that these were the best two guys to run this location. After a lengthy search of various properties, they initially honed in on a site in Laconia, but due to timing and other factors, many of you know that this site was the proposed site of a multi-tenanted commercial development that had anything from fueling stations and restaurants and a tire dealer on it. But things lapsed with that, and the timing was right where Tim and Bill could come forward and put their dealership on this site. It's approximately about 10 acres in size, a little bit under that. It has close to 900 feet of frontage on Route 3. The access is principally by a controlled intersection at a light. You'll see on the plan that there'll be 3 lanes going out and 1 coming in. The initial iteration of this particular plan showed a lot down on Morrison, because this plan will require the merger of several different lots. There were 4 house lots that were down on Morrison that are existing homes. They will be raised and be part of this particular proposal. You'll see the zone line, the MU zone and the RG zone. The dealership is allowed in that particular zone, not so in the MU. So we proposed a lower level parking lot that was going to be for lease trade-ins and not active vehicles. There was some opposition from the neighborhood. I think Mr. Scanlon can attest to that. You'll see that now on the screen is the original configuration. When we looked at it from a traffic perspective, with the 4 houses gone and using it for lease trade-ins, there was going to be about a net reduction, 30 to 40 trips per day from that particular site, but still it was a legitimate concern of the abutters. And during the zoning board process, it was thought that we go back to the drawing board. Hannah, being the project engineer, knew that it would be a challenge due to grades and retaining walls and everything, and the expense of doing it. But she went back with her engineering team, and in consult with Tim and Bill, they came up with a way to avoid any traffic whatsoever over onto Morrison. You'll see the plan now in front of you, which shows Morrison with no connection. You see the 4 blue spruces that are next to, I believe, Andrea, the lady that spoke at the outset, specifically identified to buffer her home. And there's multi-tiered landscaping here that far exceeds the regulations to provide a very thick screen buffer. The central corridor is blue spruce. And then up on the top level where the parking lot will be, there's another elevation of plantings that will provide more than appropriate screening. You can see along this side, there was a retaining wall that was placed. That was at substantial extra cost to make this all work, but Bill and Tim were willing to foot the bill for that so that they could alleviate any of the concerns over on Morrison. The dealership will have a 31,000 square foot footprint and about 54,000 square feet of usable area. At capacity, it will have approximately 80 employees, techs and salespeople, many of which are going to make 6 figures and beyond. So there's a lot of good jobs that will be brought to this site. The hours of operation are going to be from 7 o'clock a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and unlike many of our New Hampshire dealers, they are closed on Sundays. So they do a very robust business with a single line. They're strictly a Honda dealership. Expect, again, at their peak, it will take time to phase in, that they'll sell approximately 200 new vehicles per year and perhaps another 100 of used. So they're really excited about this site and its location and the corridor and being adjacent to other auto dealerships. When you look at the layout of the site, this is a rare case in which we're not seeking any waivers. Everything with the benefit of the variance is compliant. We did go to the ZBA and we did get various setback reliefs, some relief for signage and relief for some lighting. We reduced some of the lighting but increased the height, but everybody seemed to be pleased with that. The snow storage areas, which are depicted on the plan, Bill and Tim will tell you that's an ongoing management effort by any experienced car dealer. As you know from living in New Hampshire, you see car dealers with their magic wands cleaning cars and moving them about the parking lot. They adjust inventory levels during the year and seasonalize it so that they do have adequate space, and they may be able to take up a few spaces if needed. If there is significant snows, in rare instances, they may have to truck it off, which is not all that unusual. With respect to the traffic flow, it's a much improved alignment over what was introduced by prior plans, and there's good circulation within the site. They're hoping to get this thing built and get in business as soon as possible. So it's been a little slower process than normal due to our COVID, which is the fault of nobody, but we appreciate all of your efforts to get this through the process as quickly as possible. and to accommodate us with the online meetings. I'm going to turn it over to Hannah now for a moment and have her go through some of the engineering issues for you. I think it goes without saying as I close that this will be a tax positive project. Not only will you get the ad valorem tax revenue with no burden on public services, you'll also get a number of car registrations annually from loaners and other vehicles that are associated with the dealership. Hannah, if you could go through the engineering details to frequent the board members with the design process and how you laid this out.
Yes. Hello, Madam Chair, members of the board, and community. As you can see, the main revisions to this project were this layout over on the left over here, where we raised this area with a considerable amount of fill and a large retaining wall along the side, and we have landscaping along this side and this side. Now, in doing so, again, we've taken all the traffic off Morrison Avenue, and the traffic generated from this project will now all come in through this signalized intersection, and we've reanalyzed it and coordinated with New Hampshire DOT. And in doing so, there will be, with retiming, no perceptible differences between build and no build conditions. Our design, we've revised our grading, utilities, landscaping, lighting, and stormwater design with respect to Steve Keach's comments, as well as members of the board's comments, other members of the town and community. You'll notice on the packet of plans that you got, everything that's been revised is in red in case you have any questions about what exactly has been revised. We continue to protect wetlands and maintain the wildlife corridor, and we provide our stormwater management system, which still captures, treats, infiltrates all stormwater from paved development and snow storage areas. Our snow storage areas have been expanded to include a larger amount of pavement. Again, these areas are in red and they're dotted. We have in this revised parking area here, there'll be temporary snow storage here during the winter months when inventory is low. And this parking area over here, to be clear, is more of a vehicle service storage and service parking. So these won't be inventory spaces. It'll be primarily vehicles that come in that were leased or double items that say you have 2 black trucks. You just keep this one over here temporarily. Over on this side over here in our display storage area, oops, sorry for that, we have this new and large area with just kind of vacant space that wasn't being used previously that we can store snow storage. And in addition, there were comments related to this fuel tank area that we should provide oil water separators. We've done so. If I can flip to our grading plan. We've done so in that area as well as adjacent areas. So there's an oil water or sediment oil separator here, as well as one over here on the lower level area. And then we also have one in another area where the a subcatchment oil spill might be right here. These all have been sized to discharge for large storm events and reduce runoff rates compared to existing conditions. I mentioned the landscaping. Primarily the landscaping that has changed is over near the abutters area. We have this kind of wooded area over here. These are mainly, the blue ones are a blue spruce, and then we also have red maples. These trees over here are bloodgood trees, and then we also have arborvitaes to further protect this area on this lower level, and arborvitaes over here as well. The lighting also has been revised, and along the property line, there is no lights that spill beyond this point, especially with the amount of landscaping that we've provided over here. We hope you'll look at this favorably and upon this revised project, and we look forward to beginning construction this summer and your opinions on this matter. Jane, Madam Chairman.
Yes. Does the planning board have any questions or comments?
I do.
Yes, Eric.
On these new, crud, I lost what I was going to say. The Colorado spruce, are they 6 to 7 feet? Are they 6 to 7 feet now when you plant them, or are they only going to mature to 6 or 7 feet?
If you look at the table on 12 here on the landscape plan, which is, I don't know if you can see at the bottom, I have my thing covering it up. C9.
I have the plan in front of me. I have that in front of me. That's what I'm reading.
Okay, if you look at the top, the size is what will be installed here. So that.
Okay, so they'll be installed at 6 to 7 feet. Okay.
Yeah. And those grow about 1 to 2 feet per year.
Yep. No, they're good growers. Are you going to leave enough space so that they don't crowd each other and like leave dead spaces in between?
Absolutely, yes.
You know, I mean, sometimes they can grow in their branch. You know, if they're not maintained, you know, you'll get where they're fighting for space, and nutrients are going to get intertwined, and then they'll die off in the middle. So.
Yeah, you can kind of see that they're traded off in spaces. They're right not next to each other, so that will allow them to grow full branches and not crowd one another.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the planning board? I'm going to open it to the public. Does the public have any questions or comments?
This is Dennis Gaudet. I think for the folks on Morrison, I think one of the things that I would add is the fact that what they're currently looking at as they turn that corner at the end of the street is not very appealing. What they will be looking at, I think, will improve all of the property values there. It's visually going to be much nicer than the backyards of some of the homes that are being torn down.
Any other questions or comments from the public? All right, I'm going to close it to the public and come back to the planning board. Any more comments from the planning board? All right, I'll entertain a motion. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I'm good.
Eric?
No, I'm good. Sorry.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for a conditional approval. And Leanne, would you please read the conditions?
I was going to read them into my motion. I was going to make a motion.
Okay. All right. Okay, you can do that then, Eric.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'll make a motion that we approve planning board case 20-02 with the following conditions. Number 1, receipt of all local, state, and federal permits. Number 2, written approval from the Tilton Northfield Aqueduct shall be obtained. 3, written approval from the Tilton Sewer Commission shall be obtained. 4, the third-party review engineer Keach Nordstrom shall confirm that all matters identified in his letter dated May 22nd as a result of his review have been satisfactorily addressed. Number 5, a performance guarantee shall be provided in an amount and form acceptable to the town of Tilton to serve as financial surety for site restoration and maintenance of erosion and sedimentation control issues, some to be determined by the town's consulting engineer. Number 6, fire department approval of the project shall be obtained. Number 7, all building plans to be reviewed by the town code enforcement officer and the fire department. Number 8, after all conditions are met, 3 copies of the final site plan are required for signatures. Number 9, the plan is protected for 5 years. Excuse me. The plan is protected for 5 years, giving substantial development has begun. Number 10, no parking or displaying of vehicles on the grass strip along Route 3.
I'm just gonna amend that a little bit, Eric, to say vehicles and displays shall be totally on paved areas. How's that?
That
Okay.
works. That works.
Yeah, that's fine. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll
Jennifer,
second.
all in favor, roll call vote. Jane Alden, yes.
Aye.
Dembitsky, yes.
Todd Odell, yes.
Eric Pyra, yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time and review, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our
Thank you
next,
very much.
I'm sorry.
I just said thank you to Steve Keach, who was here at the meeting.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Tim, this is Hannah. Do you need me to pass over the share screen before I leave?
No, that's okay. I got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Hannah.
All right. The next order of business. Let me find my agenda here. Got so much paperwork. The approval of the minutes of April 28th. Has everybody had an opportunity to review them?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second that. All in favor, roll call vote. Jane Alden, yes.
Todd Odell says yes.
Eric Pyra, yes.
Is that everybody? I guess. Okay. So the next is driveway permit. We discussed this before at 135 Pest Hill Road. There were some issues about the road that were brought up with the selectmen, I believe. And actually, the driveway will be an old logging road. So all we need to do is approve that. Leanne, you've got the form. I've got it on my phone. Have you got the?
Yep, this is for the Quins. You talked about this, I don't know, a few months ago before we went into quarantine. This was allowed by the selectmen to use that road and put a driveway in, so they're the only ones out there. This is just the formal driveway permit that they've now submitted. I think you're all familiar with that one house that's being built out there on Pest House Road.
Yes.
Okay, I quoted it to you late this afternoon if anyone needs it, but it's.
Pretty straightforward.
Did you send a copy to everybody else, Leanne?
I did send it to everyone, Jane, late
Okay.
today, because I wasn't at the office, but I had a copy in my file.
I'm reading it now.
Pardon?
I'm just reading it now.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Pyra, second.
Roll call vote. Jane Alden, yes.
Todd Odell, yes.
Dembitsky, yes.
Pyra, yes.
Is there anything else? Any other business to come before the board?
I don't have anything else. I guess just as always at the end of these meetings, what we're doing for the following month, but I don't know that we know if we're going to have 2 meetings next month. I guess we'll wait and see if the town hall opens up. I guess we can wait and make a decision on that later, see what we have. I don't have anything at the moment, so you don't have to decide that tonight. I guess we can hold off on meeting schedule if you like.
Okay. Anything else to come before the board? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, was she going to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if anyone knows anyone that would like to be on the planning board, maybe we could do a little bit of, it's hard with COVID, but we probably could use a couple more members. We have 6, we can have 7 full members and we don't have any alternates, so it's tough when we come up against these close to quorums tonight. I know everyone's busy, so if anyone can kind of network a little bit and see if they can find other people who might be interested, that would be good.
And if anybody
Sounds
has
good.
Fred Fenner's phone number, please send it to Leanne.
He just sent me an email and said he will not be able to go back. So,
Okay. Thank you, Luke.
Okay.
yeah.
Did Luke second it? All right, I need to.
I'll second the adjournment.
Yeah, I made a motion. A second? Did somebody
Second.
Hire
Byron
second?
second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Roll call. Alden, yes.
Odell, yes.
Yes.
Byron, yes.
Okay. Stay safe, guys. We'll look forward to hearing from you, Leanne.
Okay, thanks everyone. Nice job on getting that done in spite of the remote. So I think you did a nice job. Thanks.
Okay.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
You too.